The Quest for the Starstonians upon a time. In a world where the ordinary and extraordinary coexisted, there was a young adventurer named Arlo. Arlo lived in the bustling city of Driftwood. A place where people came from all over to seek fortune, fame, or simply an escape from their own troubles. But Arlo wasn't just any ordinary city dweller. He dreamed of something more, something far beyond the walls of Driftwood. He had heard legends of a magical artifact known as the Starstone. It was said to hold the power to control the very stars in the sky, granting its possessor the ability to shape fate itself. The Starstone had been lost for centuries, hidden away in the fabled Isle of Mist, a place few dared to visit and even fewer ever returned from. Arlo spent years reading ancient maps, dusty books, and even speaking to old sailors about the Isle of Mist. Every piece of information he gathered only seemed to deepen the mystery. One thing was clear, only those with great courage and a keen sense of adventure could hope to find the Starstone. One day, as Arlo sat in his small room above a noisy tavern, a weathered map caught his eye. It was unlike any other he'd seen. The edges were charred and torn, but the symbols were clear. "The Isle of Mist," he muttered to himself. His heart raced. This was the map he had been searching for. With little more than a bag of supplies, a small knife, and an iron will, Arlo set off the next morning. He boarded a ship captained by a grizzled sailor named Captain Cade, who had a reputation for sailing through the most treacherous waters. "The Isle of Mist is no place for the faint of heart, lad," Captain Cade warned as Arlo boarded. But if you're determined, I'll take you there. The price, however, is steep." Arlo nodded. He was ready. The voyage was long, and the sea was unforgiving. Days turned to weeks, and the crew battled rough storms, wild waves, and strange creatures that lurked beneath the surface. But Arlo kept his eyes on the horizon, knowing that each challenge brought him closer to his goal. The crew grew weary, but Arlo's determination never wavered. One fateful evening, after a violent storm had passed, the mist appeared. It was thick and swirling, covering the sea like a blanket. The ship entered the mist, and the air became colder, the water darker. "Steady now," Captain Cade muttered, his voice tense. The crew strained their eyes to see, but the mist obscured everything beyond the ship's bow. Suddenly, a cry rang out. One of the crew members, a young man named Lyle, had spotted something in the distance, a dark, shadowy shape moving swiftly through the mist. The crew's hearts skipped a beat as they realized they weren't alone. They weren't just crossing the sea. They were entering something far more dangerous. As they sailed deeper into the mist, eerie sounds began to fill the air, whispers, howls, and ghostly voices. The ship lurched as if something beneath the water was pulling at it. Arlo felt the temperature drop further, and his breath became visible in the freezing air. They were entering a realm where the normal rules of nature no longer applied. Then, from the depths of the mist, a massive shape emerged, an enormous sea serpent, its scales glistening like the night sky. Its eyes were glowing red, and it opened its vast mouth with a deafening roar. "Brace yourselves," Captain Cade shouted, but it was too late. The serpent lashed out, snapping its jaws at the ship. The crew scrambled to defend the vessel, but the serpent was too powerful. Arlo saw the creature's massive tail sweep toward them, knocking the ship off course. In that moment, something inside Arlo awakened. Without thinking, he grabbed a harpoon and with all his strength hurled it toward the serpent's eye. The weapon struck with a loud thud, and the creature let out a terrible screech. It thrashed in pain but eventually retreated into the mist, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. The crew cheered, but their victory was short-lived. The ship was badly damaged, and they were now lost in the thickest part of the mist. Just as they were about to give up hope, Arlo spotted a faint light in the distance. It was weak, but it was there. "That's it," Arlo cried. "The Isle of Mist must be close." With renewed energy, the crew followed the light, and as they pushed forward, the mist began to thin. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they arrived at the island shore. The air was dense with mystery, and the land was covered in thick vines and towering trees. The island was like nothing Arlo had ever seen, beautiful and eerie, as if it existed outside of time. They made camp near the edge of a dense forest, and Captain Cade warned them. "The island holds many secrets, and not all of them are kind. Stay close and stay sharp." The next day, they ventured into the forest. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows, and the ground was soft, like it had never been walked on. As they walked deeper into the island, Arlo felt an odd sensation, as though the trees themselves were watching him. Suddenly, a figure appeared, an old man dressed in tattered robes. His eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom, and his voice echoed like a whisper carried by the wind. "You seek the Starstone, do you not?" he asked. Arlo nodded, surprised that the man knew his quest. "The Starstone is not simply a treasure to be taken. It is a test of heart, mind, and spirit. Many have tried to claim its power, but few have succeeded." The old man raised his hand, and a path through the forest cleared, revealing a stone temple at the heart of the island. If you are worthy, the Starstone will reveal itself to you. But beware, the path is treacherous, and the island will test your resolve. Arlo, Captain Cade, and the crew follow the path, entering the temple. Inside, the air was thick with magic, and the walls were adorned with carvings of ancient creatures and forgotten heroes. As they ventured deeper into the temple, they faced riddles, traps, and tests of courage. But Arlo's determination never faltered. Finally, in the heart of the temple, they found the Starstone, a crystal that pulsed with a light that seemed to come from the stars themselves. It sat atop a pedestal, glowing with an ethereal power. As Arlo stepped forward to claim the Starstone, the old man's voice echoed in his mind. The power of the Starstone can change the world, but it can also destroy it. What will you choose? Arlo hesitated. He had come so far, but he realized that the true power wasn't in the stone, it was in the journey. The lessons learned and the courage he had found within himself. The deep breath, Arlo made his choice. He did not take the Starstone. Instead, he left it where it lay, knowing that some powers were meant to remain untouched. The temple rumbled as if it acknowledged his decision, and the island began to shake. The path out of the temple collapsed behind them, but Arlo and the crew managed to escape, leaving the island and the Starstone behind. As they sailed back to Driftwood, the mist slowly parted, and the stars above seemed brighter than ever.